in America, where there are statistics, make 1 million or under a year, 96%, which means that I'm actually only capturing a very small percentage of customers. So I started Venture Hero to cater to businesses doing 1 to 10 million a year as a venture studio fund. And the premise or the promise is if I can help your business go from 1 to 10 million annual recurring revenue through the Venture Hero Venture Studio system, which provides capital, courses, coaching, and community, would you consider allowing Valaris to raise capital for you in M&A, right? So Ivana, if you had a business doing $1 million a year and you're stuck and I help you get to $10 million revenue a year, will you allow Valaris to raise capital for you?
Oh, I would likely.
Yeah,
If
so
I have the change.
that's Venture Hero for you. All right. So I'll show you how it fits into the corporate innovation ecosystem I'm going to present today.
Okay. So I guess but in this year you have launched Web Finder, if I'm not mistaken, and
You've been very busy.
uh
Yes, I've done that as well. Yeah.
yeah, you are worth so much, Mr. Seongyo.
Yeah. So it's not easy getting into TGS, you know. They have very stringent requirements. So you better work harder to stay in TGS. Yeah. So Web Finder, I'll just touch briefly on it, and a case study is a business valuation tool because we've moved into a world for fair value reporting, but many accounting firms in the mid-tier or smaller still do not have a in-house business valuation unit. So I started Web Finder, which is an online business valuation SaaS to help TGS firms or any mid-tier accounting firm without a business valuation unit have a fractional business valuation resources, right? So it's a valuation tool. Why Web Finder is different from other valuation tools is because I've been helping auditors for 15 years to do valuation for financial reporting. And I understand what auditors' pain points are, right? So that's not the topic for today's discussion, but we will use Web Finder as a case study on how Valaris actually implemented corporate innovation, right? We're not just advisors that sell advice because we don't use it ourselves. We sell advice that we use ourselves, right?
Oh, so you actually like find out what troublesome for some auditors when doing capital calculation, right?
Fair value reporting,
Oh, for value reporting. Okay, that's
which is
very
everybody,
amazing.
the whole world, yeah. Everybody has to do fair value reporting, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So let's us move on to Mr. Prakar Kalani. So I noticed
Hello.
that you have emailed me earlier in the morning. It's um half four for 4:30. You emailed me the materials for today's discussion forum. Oh my God. Have you sleep well, Mr. Prakar? Did you have good
No,
sleep?
it's 7:30 a.m. in the morning here, and I slept at 2:30 in the night. So that's how it is.
Oh my God. I feel sorry for you.
But so excited to see you all. Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Prakar has prepared well for this discussion forum. So I hope you will looking for his session as well. Yeah, he'll be talking about technology. Okay, we are going to start. I'm going to share the screen. Wait. Oh, and we also live in YouTube, guys. By the way, so it will be recorded on the YouTube. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. All right. So, hello everyone. So, welcome to the TGS Asia Pacific discussion forum. As today's topic, we are going to talk about M&A and technology. To be exact, how to amplify the implementation of M&A and technology to TGS Asia Pacific services. Here, we are featuring two people whose expertise in M&A and technology. There are Mr. Seong Yu from Polaris and also Mr. Prakash Kalani from TGS and Capital IO. Okay, first of all, I want to extend my gratitude for you all that has joining us in this discussion forum. So thank you so much for being here with me. My name is Ivana and I will be your moderator throughout this session for the next 2 hours. Okay, before we jump into the main topic, I would like to share to you guys about our rules during the meeting. First of all, please rename your display name format to according to the format that is displayed on the screen. So as for me, my name is Ivana and I am from TGS Indonesia. So my name display will be Ivana Deva dash TGS Indonesia. And please turn your camera on, then be active because we want this discussion forum as engaging as possible. So unfortunately, silence isn't an option here. All right. Okay, here is pretty much our agenda for today. First, I'm going to introduce TGS Asia Pacific Online Platform, and next we are going to have a main session with Mr. Moon Seong Yu, and then the technology session with Mr. Prafar Kalane, and last but not least, we're going to make a summarization of our discussion today. Okay, so first, I want to address some problem here. The problem is we can never hold this kind of discussion forum every day, right? So TGS Indonesia, on behalf of TGS Asia Pacific, took the initiative to build an online platform where you guys can discuss everything from anywhere at any time. Basically, this platform is like Facebook and LinkedIn, where you can start a discussion, then get a feedback from everyone that joins the platform, and share each other's knowledge and thoughts, but based on your expertise and experience. Right? It looks like a LinkedIn. Okay. So, how to sign up for TGS Asia Pacific online platform? It's really simple, guys. It took less than 2 minutes. You can go directly to the link that is displayed on the screen, or you can scan the QR code. Okay. Now, before we jump into the main topic of M&A with Mr. Seong Yu, I will address the recent news and trends in M&A. So ever since I have assigned by Pak Mikael to hold this discussion forum, I've been trying to keep updated with M&A recent news and trends. And luckily, I have attended Mr. Seong Yoong's webinar with openfor.co with Erwin, yeah, Mr. Seong Yoong. And there, you said that Trump's allegation have a big impact in M&A, and it will be likely a major rebound of M&A in 2025. So maybe Mr. Seong Yoong can explain to us more what is exactly will M&A rebound in 2025 and the relation to Trump's regulated policy.
Like right now?
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Seong Yong.
Okay, so what's going to happen we're going to see economic headwinds. Thanks for coming on to the my last webinar where I discussed the impact of mergers and acquisitions and how venture capital will grow. We're actually at the early stages of a venture capital super cycle. We are seeing a lot of protectionism arising with a slowing economy, right? So we're going to see quite a lot of economic challenges in the first half of next year. When Trump got re-elected as the US president for the second time, one of the first announcements he did was to announce tariffs, right? So he said that we're going to put in 10% on top of any Chinese goods coming into the US and 25% on top of any Canadian or Indian goods coming into the US. In simple economic terms, it makes it harder for non-US firms to sell. When it is harder for you to sell and your revenues and your profits go down, the value of your businesses go down, right? So businesses need to innovate in 2025 as economic protectionism is on the rise and the Americans pull out of multinationalism. Because we need to find a way to sustain businesses, to sustain jobs, as well as to reposition in this last few years in which there were massive disruptions every year, right? Every year you see consultants talk about new headline themes of the day. There was not that long ago, maybe just 3-4 years ago, people were just talking about DLT, distributed ledger technology, more famously known as blockchain. Then 2-3 years ago, people were talking about ESG, and now people in 2024, starting late 2023, are talking about generative AI. So with all these changes, why do I say US, even though we're so far away in Asia? Because the Americans are the world's largest economy. Okay, and maybe not so much for Indonesia, but for small open economies and nations like Singapore that is very dependent on external trade, we need to rethink how we can survive and remain relevant in a more nationalistic world going forward in the near future. And with also a lot of instability in the Middle East, in Ukraine, in Gaza, and as of this week in Syria, right? All these would do one of two things. It would either reduce supply to factors of production or inputs of production we need in whatever goods we are producing in our industry, or it will also reduce demand. Or well, it may increase demand if you're selling things that people need when they go to war. But when there is instability and there is war, then we need to figure out how to innovate to stay relevant.
Okay, so it's rather challenging us, yeah, Mr. Seong Yoon, with Trump being re-elected as a president of US. And oh my God, I feel it's so hard already for us to keep being resonant and relevant with Trump's allegation.
Hello.
Oh my God, sorry everyone.
It's okay.
I got reconnected.
Just 10 second off.
Okay.
No worries. Every challenge, a businessman sees opportunity to fix a problem. Yeah. So maybe somebody will come up with a business solution to fix latency.
Okay. Okay. So, I believe that Mr. Seung Yoon has some materials to share with us today. Okay,
Yes, I
and
do.
yeah, you are going to talk about the four levels of companies stage, right?
Corporate innovation.
Ah, okay. Innovation. Okay. Okay. Do you perhaps want to share your own materials?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, whenever you are ready, Mr. Seong Yu.
All right. Thanks for that lovely introduction, Ivana, and good to see everybody here. This is going to be an interactive seminar. We will be doing presentation, but we like to hear from you as well. So if you can, just to test, so that in case you want to type to ask questions, if you can put in the chat, in the box, which country you're with, you are coming from, and so two words, right? What country you're coming from as a TGS member, the first word, and the second word, whether you're from audit, tax, or advisory service line, and then we'll say hello to everybody, and then we can customize this presentation to the audience on how to think about corporate innovation in the context of your businesses, right? So I'll just give everybody 30 seconds to type in to the chat which country you're from and which service line you're from. Okay, thanks for sharing, Prakar. If I didn't ask, I wouldn't know, right? So Prakar's from India and is doing product building for GRC and data analysis. Would you be able to share with us what GRC means? Which means obviously I'm
Yeah.
not on that service line.
Yes. It's governance, risk, and compliances.
Right.
So for internal controls and audits, we are building products around that.
Okay. All right. So thanks for sharing. So Mikal, of course, Pak Mikal is from Indonesia because he's hosting the seminar. He does audit, accounting, and tax. Anybody else? I see a Pak Jenny. Same. You're probably Pak Mikal's colleague, yeah?
Yes, yes. The
Okay.
same.
Okay, great. And the rest, which I don't see on screen, please feel free to take part. All right. So let's get started. Okay, can everybody see my slides on screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. So the four levers of corporate innovation. Why did I choose this topic? Originally, I was asked to present on M&A. I thought it was more important to talk through why we are doing it. And if once we are clear about our why in terms of why we are in business, then how can we go about staying valuable and relevant to our customers, of which M&A is just one of the four levers. Yeah. So as I mentioned previously in conversation with Ivana, we're going into a lot of disruption, or we are halfway through a lot of disruption, but we're going through a lot of geopolitical instability. I think the next big event that is going to potentially reduce trade in the world, right? Anything with that, I see any event that reduces trade as an event that increases the likelihood of moving us towards an economic downturn. Very simple, right? The economy is, the more transactions there are, the higher the likelihood of going to a bull economy. The fewer transactions there are, the higher the likelihood of going into a recession. Okay, so what we've talked about is in protectionism and nationalism is reduction of transactions. The next headline event is 19th January 2025, in which TikTok is fighting for its life to stay open in the US, right? So that's the latest event. So once you see all these events, put simply, any event that reduces transaction, reduces distribution means businesses need to rethink about ways of staying relevant and staying in front of their customer, right? Because you can be the best auditor in the world and you can be the best surgeon in the world, but if your customer cannot find you, there is no business and there is no sale, right? So TikTok is a distribution platform that puts you in front of your customer. So let's take a look at the four levers of corporate innovation and how to supercharge business growth and leave your competition behind, right? Who's excited? Please raise your hand. and show some support. Okay, thank you, Prakar. I'll do the same for you in an hour's time, and Ivana. Right, so disclaimer, this is just a presentation. What is corporate innovation, right? So you say, hey, Seong Yong, we're very busy working in our business. And when we work in our business every day, clearing reports, trying to do business development, we seldom come across this word called corporate innovation. So what exactly is it, right? Corporate innovation, as opposed to working in your business, is about working on your business. Right? So working in your business, you've probably heard about things where over time, working in your business, I offer audit, I offer tax, and I offer advisory services, but so do my competitors. And over time, there's more competition, right? What if I could innovate in a way in which customers have to come to me first because I'm the only person offering this service? I am, in the proverbial cliche, the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. It took me 20 years to understand that competence alone doesn't build businesses. All of us here are extremely competent professionals. I was wondering why guys like over the last 10 years, like Russell Brunson, who does ClickFunnels, and some of these digital marketing guys all made millions and millions of dollars distributing on social media platforms, right? It was then that I realized that competence, you can be very competent, but if many of your competitors are offering the same services and customers have substitutes, then you don't really are in a position to be a price setter. The more competition there is, the more likely that you're going to be a price taker, right? So if you innovate into a blue ocean and get away from a red ocean, you're more likely to be a price setter. And who here likes to work harder for less? Nobody, right? Everybody likes to work. Everybody likes to work less for more. So let's take a look at what corporate innovation is in the context of professional services firm, right? So because this webinar is done for TGS, and I want to especially address this for the professionals in the TGS network. There are 3 different routes to corporate innovation that you can immediately take back and think through with your team today, starting from the easiest to the more challenging. Number 1, everybody knows this. We first think through about ideas. But how do we think through about ideas? I realized that having worked in the accounting industry for 15 years, innovation sometimes is difficult because we work in an industry where we require community and peer approval, right? Nobody invents a new financial reporting standards by themselves. It needs to be accepted by the community. So are there ways in which we can think about new ideas without worrying that it has to be accepted by our peers? Because once it is accepted our peers, there is a likelihood that they are doing the same service as well. Isn't that true? And then we are closer to becoming offering a red ocean service in which there are substitutes, and over the long term, you're just competing on price. Now, ideas could be very interesting because today Prakar has given us an idea. I've not heard of governance risk and what is the C, compliance, right? There are governance, compliance, and risk services, but they could take on many interesting variants, some with more competition and some with less, right? So traditional internal audit is a matured service, but compared to that, even in the same service line, you may have something newer like ESG, governance, right? So even in the spectrum of whatever work you're doing, think about what is a little bit more red ocean and what's a little bit more blue ocean. Now, how do you find what is blue ocean? There is a secret formula to figuring out what customers will buy. Would you like to know what the secret formula is? What would customers buy so that they'll pay us money and the competition that doesn't have the service? The secret formula is called ask your customer. Sounds funny, right? Because a lot of times what we'll do is we keep thinking and saying, hey, our revenues are going down because our competition's undercutting us. I wonder what we can do. And the answer is we need to work on the business, not in the business, right? To think about what's valuable and relevant in the eyes of the customer for the next 5 years. And what's the easiest way to do that? As an entrepreneur, I can tell you that the answer is not sitting in your room with your executive committee trying to figure out what's the next best thing. Because I made that mistake before with WAC Finder. We can develop it in 1 or 2 years. And when we put it out to the market, the customer says, this is very nice, but this is not what we want. So in terms of entrepreneurship, finding ideas that customers want and translating into a product is the process called customer development. At the start, you develop the customer that you want to understand in order to create the product or the service they want. And that at the end of the journey is called product market fit. Okay, so the first thing in corporate innovation is, can you generate ideas that give you blue ocean service lines that your competition doesn't have, so that you can be a price setter? And it starts with getting closer to your customer than your competition. Do you understand their hopes and fears? Do you understand what's challenging them in their business? There's no such thing as a business with no problems, right? Every day there are problems, right? So the question is, are we the right people to solve it by understanding the ideas that we can bring to the table to help them solve it? So that's number one. Number two, this one is a very easy one, right? Workflows. Workflows is something professional services firms understand intimately because we have a lot of cost pressures. In Singapore, that's very, very true, because the cost of labor, all the factors of production are very high in Singapore, labor, rental. And in the last 10, 15 years, we've tried to rework our workflows in order to reduce costs. This includes using a lot of technology, right? E-audit software, that's one. And the second thing is also by creating remote teams and hiring staff outside of Singapore, right? So this is how changing our workflows can help us maintain margins. I always say there are only two ways to maintain a profit margin or to grow a profit margin. And all of us here are trained accountants. There are only two ways to increase profit, right? Which is number one, surprise, surprise, increase revenue. Or two, surprise, surprise, cut costs. But because all of us are accountants, we naturally first think about workflows that cut costs and improve efficiency. But I would like to put it on the table, the suggestion that focusing on cost reduction is only one of two methods to increase profit. The other method being finding ways to increase revenue through product innovation, right? Offering me-only services that the competition doesn't offer. Now, if you combine number one and number two, and the customer says, I love it, whatever new thing you're developing, then that translates to corporate innovation idea number three. You get a new product or service. Yeah, so these are the three pillars of corporate innovation. First, figure out who your customer you want to serve is. Figure out what their pain points are. Go back and think about whether you're the right guy, brainstorm ideas on products and services that they may want. Then you figure out whether you actually have that. You just have to, you already have that capability in-house. You just need to adapt existing workflows, either to cut costs or to increase revenue. Or they are actually needing a new service line, like ESG is a new service line, right? Or digital transformation is a new service line. Okay, so who learned something new in this first slide itself, right? So 3 ideas for corporate innovation. Now, who should pursue corporate innovation? And this is very interesting, right? Because so I decided to put this slide that Ivana put up. Who should pursue corporate innovation in a world where everybody wants to give you less business because they want to protect their own citizens, and rightly so. So all of you, I'm sure, are business leaders in your own firms. So when you think about corporate innovation and staying valuable and relevant, those are the two main themes for your customers in the next 5 years. Who do you think in your company should be involved in corporate innovation? You can type the answer in the chat below, and because I'm not able to see the chat now while I'm presenting, Ivana can help me read that out. Who do you think in your company? So this is going to be a live exercise, right? We don't want you just to come to this webinar, listen and go off and your life has not changed. I'm here to make sure that your time is well spent and that you get as much of this webinar as you put into it. So if you say that, hey, I'm getting competition, my services are getting more red ocean every year, and I'm interested in engaging in corporate innovation, I'm open to talking to my clients, but who in my company is responsible for corporate innovation? Is it just the managing partner?
Okay, so there is an answer from Pamikail, and he thinks that the one that should pursue corporate innovation is the team, the service team. And there is also Mr. Prakar, and he said that people that should in charge in corporate innovation is the one who interacts the most with the clients. Yeah.
Okay,
Those are two answers so far.
Yeah, so these are great answers, right? Because I always believe that the people closest to the customer knows the pain point the best. So I'm glad that all of us are very forward thinking and that we all think that the people closest to the customer are the best have the best chance of hearing them out, being in contact and understanding the pain points. So now let's go to the next step. What do we do after the customer complains? Do we have a workflow to capture customer complaints? This is very unusual, right? I'm asking for a workflow to capture customer complaints. Step number one. Step number two, think through how we can turn pain into products. And step number three, reward our staff. Nobody talks about the third one, right? So the staff says, no, I don't want to tell my boss about the customer complaints because if I tell them, my boss asked me to innovate new things, but I really can't finish my daily workflow, right? So why should I do this extra job if I'm not rewarded? But who loses if we don't innovate and don't stay relevant and valuable to our customer? Yeah. So something to think through, the 3 steps on who should pursue corporate innovation. Everybody in the business should pursue corporate innovation. But the main question then becomes, our problem or our challenge with this step of the corporate innovation process internally is not that we don't know what the customer wants. We have people talking to the customers. But do we have a process to turn pain into product and reward the team for doing so? Right? So that's something to think about. Like I say, this is an introductory webinar on corporate innovation, right? So I'm very glad to hear that you're close to your customer, and I look forward to when I meet you guys at the next in-person Asia Pacific conference, hearing how you made progress on this front to invent new products. In marketing, I like to say that we are not the genius. The person who sells products or services is not the genius. In marketing, who is the genius? The customer is the genius because he tells you what he wants to buy. You just have to build it for him. But the question is, did you ask the customer, right? So where Web Finder was concerned, I created this product, this cost of capital calculator when we first started, but now we are transitioning it to a full business valuation online platform for auditors to use. Because for 15 years, auditors have been asking me to review their valuation calculation. So what's that? That is an existing problem for 15 years, no? So then I asked myself the question, how can I help more auditors without taking up more of my time? Right? So the quality of innovation is then a function of the quality of the questions you ask in relation to the pain points that you receive. Okay. Science, your client, or even ourselves should consider corporate innovation. Which of you can identify with this? Market saturation. All right. When you say, hey, I want to, your client says, how much do you charge for helping me with this IPO exercise? And you say X thousand dollars. And the client says, oh, why should I pay you this, right? The big four is charging less than you. Market saturation. So when you are in a market saturation, whereby when you put a quote and people then try to close you based on cost, because there are many substitutes, you know you're approaching a red ocean and it's time to think about a new service line or a better way to help your customer. All right, so market saturation is number one. Number two, signs that I think we need to spend some time on corporate innovation, competition. Right, so competition means that where customers used to buy easily, now it's not so easy. You say, no, how every industry has competition. But I can tell you some industries have less competition than others for now, right? Nothing's forever. Just 2 months ago, I was approached to fundraise for a company in Malaysia. And what these guys did was they did part of data center construction, right? So you think that they're in a very mature industry, which is construction, but they are specialist builder, right? They don't build, they're not a normal builder for residential, commercial, industrial buildings. They are a specialist builder for data centers. And is data center booming in Southeast Asia? Of course. In Malaysia, Google and Microsoft has announced investments in data centers, right? Singapore is limited. We're limited by many things. We're limited by our ability to produce more electricity and space. So what he told me is, hey, I'm thinking of raising capital because we're worried that after this 3 years, growth was slow. So we want to position for the future. So I said, what's your problem right now? I said, we don't have a problem right now. In fact, revenue is increasing. This is the punchline. Revenue is increasing 300% a month. I've never, in my 15 years of doing consulting, heard a business where revenue is growing, offline business, not a digital business, right? Growing 300% a month. How many of you would like your business revenue to grow 300% a month? Type 1 in the chat, right? Okay, so what happens is that when you find a problem that people want to solve and nobody else can solve it, these guys do bus bar manufacturing, right? Bus bar is basically a huge, thick copper rod that you put inside the data center. They don't even make the whole data center. It's just a copper rod for you to tap electricity. And they're witnessing 300% revenue growth a month. Okay, so it is possible. As long as you find where sources of new demand is, you can move closer to being a price setter. Thirdly, technological advancement. Wow, we're living in an age where every year we have advanced technological advancement. Who is finding it difficult this year already to learn how to use generative AI or ChatGPT in your workflows, right? Every year there's something new to learn. The rate of technological advancement is progressing so fast in so many ways that you think that it's alien technology, right? And yet, if we don't use or keep up to date with technological advancement, we run the risk of becoming obsolete. So for example, we do a lot e-audit, but who here in TGS has started looking at how to incorporate ChatGPT or generative AIs in their workflows, right? And you might want to share, if you're doing that, how are you using technological advancement in your workflows in your business today to either increase revenues or cut costs?
Actually, I heard that Mr. Prakar already developed an AI generative technology in KGS. Can you please tell us more about your AI technology, Mr. Prakar?
Sure, sure. So I'll give you the background. So I'm chartered accountant and then transited my career into technology by learning Python and different technologies. Now, the first thing which I started doing was building recurring process automation bots. So whatever we used to do in Excel, we started building bots for that. Post that, we started realizing like this is something which requires, a person to learn coding to do the automation. Now we are using AI to do the same. So I'll share my screen and if you can allow me to share my screen, I'll let you know like how it works.
Okay, so I think this actually is a nice segue for Prakash's presentation, right? In terms of this is a quite well curated topic. We'll talk about corporate innovation,
Yes.
and if we don't do M&A, what are the other ways? And Prakash will show you that in his presentation once I'm finished over here, right? So I'm very excited and I look forward to hearing about your presentation as well. So let's carry on. Okay, what's the cost of avoiding corporate innovation? You say, hey, I'm already so busy working in my business. You ask me to do corporate innovation working on my business. That's just too much. But is it really an option to not think about learning something new and innovating when all your competition is doing it? Right? So if you want to avoid corporate innovation because you say, hey, I'm good for now. Okay, I'm doing 300% revenue increase year on year, but I only estimate it will last for 2-3 years. Then what happens, right? Because you have such a huge workforce in these 2-3 years and everything is manual because you haven't innovated. So if you don't pursue corporate innovation, you think of it as optional rather than mandatory, over the long term, you're going to lose market share. Right? So one of the famous case studies in technology in 2024 is Intel. Intel famously, when all of us were much younger, was the number one and the only microprocessor brand we would use to build computers, right? But then what happened? They said, okay, we are the king of the hill for 20, 25 years. And then all of a sudden they stumbled. Why? Because all their chips were not optimized for generative AI. The guys who now have general purpose chips and have leapfrogged them were their longtime competitor and nemesis, which is AMD. And today, even NVIDIA is up and coming as first as a GPU, graphics processing unit powerhouse. But because Gen AI is so GPU heavy, they may one day even take the crown from AMD, right? So it doesn't matter how powerful you are today. I always say that we counterintuitively, right, as a business leader, we shouldn't maximize for profits today. It's okay not to earn maximum profit today. We need to always leave aside, as an engineer, before I was an accountant, I was first an engineer. We need to leave aside some of our profits for R&D so that we can continue remaining relevant tomorrow, even though we are making a lot of money today, because nothing lasts forever, right? I like to say that business is a daily exercise in attrition. Okay, so if we avoid corporate innovation, we lose market share, number one. Number two, you can see this on the balance, right? As the ocean becomes more and more red, and then in order just to secure the contract for the customer, you say, what? The big four is giving you a lower price than me. I'll give you an even deeper discount, right? Who has said that? I'll give you an even deeper discount to close the job. They are 20,000 cheaper than me. Okay, I'll give you $25,000 discount. But what happens when we do that? We work harder for less profit. So the cost of not doing heavy duty thinking is doing heavy duty working for less profit. So it is hard to think of new innovative products. It is also hard to sell time. Choose your heart. Number two. Number three, right? So once you lose market share and you try and defend it by being the cheapest when that is not your brand as a cost leader, over time you become irrelevant. Many famous case studies of market leaders or giants. Who here, when you were young, used a reel of Kodak film? Kodak was so huge, right? They were the #1 filmmaker, producer in the world, but where are they today? They're nowhere because they didn't innovate. So if it can happen to them, it can happen to anybody else, right? So these are the 3 costs of avoiding corporate innovation. So Seong Yong, you've spoken so long and used up so much time. How do we innovate, right? You talk so much about who should be involved in innovation and what's the cost. So this is, are you ready for the formula on the 4 levers of corporate innovation? So here it is. Okay, so I've drawn a nice chart. The first thing is, after your customer tells you about their pain points, what do? You may say, let me think about if they need ESG reporting and we don't have it, let me think about how we can do it in-house. Right? We can then go to the internet or we can attend all sorts of groups and then we try to develop the expertise in-house. That's called research and development. If all our chips today are designed for office productivity, but the market wants generative AI, but there's nobody. I'm first to the market. I'm NVIDIA, right? And then I have to figure it out myself how to create these chips that the market wants. That's called R&D. And in R&D, I will give you the formal label for corporate innovation, and I'll give you an easier to understand label. If you embark on R&D, that's called to build, right? You want to build this new capability because you want to own it in-house, build from scratch. So that's the first lever of corporate innovation. After the customer expresses the pain point, and it's completely blue ocean, we have to develop this on ourselves. We do some R&D, we check with the customer, if we build this, will you buy? If they say yes, conversation, always talk to the customer, there's more product market fit. Okay, we'll go through a case study to show you how I did that exactly with Webfinder. Number 2, mergers and acquisitions. Let's say you're not the first to the party and you're quite far behind. Let's say Intel has got a lot of money, but they're so far behind the party. This is not true, right? But if it is a case study, what can they do? Well, if they have a lot of money, they can buy out the competition. I think that's a bit difficult right now, and NVIDIA is worth a lot. But if you want to save time, if you have more money than time, instead of developing your own, you could buy over the competition, right? So that's what I've been helping companies do in both commercial and consulting for 15 years to help you buy an established solution. So that's corporate innovation option number 2. Number 3, you mean there's some more? Yes, there are 2 more. Number 3 is corporate venture capital. Corporate venture capital means that if you don't, and this is what I've been advising some listed companies in Singapore, in which their core business has matured, they don't know what to build next, and they don't want to buy an established solution, but they are watching for emerging trends. Maybe all these small little startups are not a threat to them today, but if they don't watch out for them, they may be a threat for them tomorrow, right? So each of you have a taxi company in your own country. Has their business been disrupted by Uber and Grab? Big time, right? Big time. But for example, if you don't understand what ride hailing is, because all your life you've only been used to a taxi model, and ride hailing doesn't exist as a billion-dollar unicorn now that you can't buy it. Maybe you see this new company called Grab and Uber 5 years ago, and you don't know what it is, but you think that it could become a threat to you in 5 to 10 years' time. What do? You quickly try to say, I give you some money and I help you grow, right? So that if you become big and overtake me, at least I'm your shareholder. That's called corporate venture capital. That's called to invest. I invest so that I can ride with the trend and I can diffuse a competitive threat. And last and foremost, what are we doing all in TGS? Strategic partnerships. That's what we're doing now. And there's a reason why I'm going in this format. So in a strategic partnership, we want to share innovation. If I don't understand automation today, I attend a webinar to learn from Prakar. Then you say, hey, that's interesting. Whatever you offer, I think my customers in Singapore might want what you have, but it's not my core focus, so I don't want to build it. I don't want to buy something because I don't know whether there's market demand. So why don't I partner with you first, right? Very low cost. Every deal we do together, we do some revenue share. So that's strategic innovation. Now, what happens when you're not very sure and the answer may not be strictly build, buy, invest, or partner? You notice they're intersecting circles? What if it's somewhere between build and buy and you're not sure yet? It could be both, right? So if you're trying to build your practice in which some of the service lines you develop yourself by building it, and some of the service lines you buy, right? Pak Mikau may say, I already have audit tax advisory. Maybe I want to buy a corporate secretary firm, or I want to buy a digital transformation department, a partner and his team over, right? This buying talent instead of buying company in M&A, we call this an acqui-hire, right? Acquisition hiring. We are buying over a team. Then we call that to develop our strength. We provide our clients audit services today, but they are also asking us to audit digital solutions, their digital workflows, because their workflows are becoming more digital. So I want to do a combination in which I build on my own strength. I want to enhance the efficiency of my audit practices, but I also want to onboard a team that can help my customer respond to his or her request to audit digital workflows. That's called developing our strengths. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, if we are not sure whether it is buy or invest, right? Because we don't know whether this new thing on the horizon is going to compete and kill us in 5 or 10 years' time. So we don't really want to buy them. And the solution is not very, very clear about whether it's going to be a threat. We say that of so the question for that in 2024 is around generative AI solutions, right? Who knows who's going to be the next YouTube or Facebook or Google in the generative AI space? And the question is, nobody knows, right? So if people say, hey, how much money should we put into generative AI today? I like to say that generative AI in 2024 is like the .com in 2000. Remember? Alta Vista search engine and Yahoo. Could anybody imagine in the year 2000 that the internet would become what it is in 2024? Right? That in 2000, we were in social media platforms, we had Friendster, we had MySpace. Right? Grab and Uber didn't even exist because they needed innovations like Google Maps. All these were online solutions, right? So I like to say that if you think about what you should bet on in 2024 in Gen AI, and I think it's important, I think Gen AI in 2024 is going to be as revolutionary as the invention of the internet in 2000. But we are not sure what we want to invest in, but we want to invest in something today to ride the trend. Then we want to enhance our portfolio, right? So we enhance our portfolio to say our core business is our core business for today, but we want to invest in minority stakes in some other divisions. So in Singapore, we've done that for a long time, especially for matured businesses. I'll give you an example. So Singtel is a matured telco business, and for a long time, they have an incubation arm called Formulate, where they look at new telecom technologies that maybe one day could take over, right? Because getting access to the internet is no longer as profitable as 20 years ago, right? Nowadays, if I go to Indonesia, I can get an overseas 3-day SIM for $3. It's not what it used to be, right? Mobile monthly payments is now down to 15 Sing dollars a month. I can get 50 gig, right? So we always need to look for new ways to enhance growth through innovation, and that's to enhance your portfolio. Now, if you say, hey, maybe I don't really want to invest yet, I'm not so sure because I'm testing a new market. This is my first time doing market entry in India, in China, in Indonesia, and I don't really want to buy something, right? I just want to learn the market and I want to work with a partner. And after I work with the partner and I know the market better, maybe I want to invest in a few of those companies there because it's a huge market, right? Indonesia is a huge market, 280 million people. India is a huge market, 1 billion people. So is it sensible for somebody like in Singapore with 3 million people to look beyond our shores? Right? It's not only sensible, it's essential for our survival. So if we do that, we're trying to align growth, right? So whatever technology we have, what a lot of telcos have done, like Singtel, is a long time ago, they bought into India called through Bharti, BHARTI, the telco. They bought into telcos in Indonesia. And essentially, the strategy was for emerging markets, we export the technology, right? So if we implemented 4G and 5G in Singapore first, then we would implement it in the same technology, repeat and rinse the same cycle in some of the emerging markets. Yeah. And lastly, if the choice is to be somewhere between build and partner, then that's called let's create our future together. That's what we're doing in TGS, right? We're doing innovation and we're building a new service line. So let's create it together. Perhaps when we have a specialist working group, like an MAA working group, we can standardize proposal format, standardize report format, standardize digital workflows. Let's create the future together. So what have we done in Valaris, or what do we offer, right? Traditionally, we offer mergers and acquisitions if you want to buy an established solution. But I realized that mergers and acquisitions is only useful for companies that do at least 10 to 30 million annual recurring revenue. So we're actually not able to help a lot of clients below 10 million until today, right? So in 2024, I figured out a new way to help them, and that's through Venture Hero. So the simple pitch is, if your business is between 1 and 10 million annual recurring revenue, Venture Hero is the firm that will help you. Once you get to 10 million and above, then Valaris is the firm that will help you. Okay, so right now, what I'm doing in Venture Hero is I'm raising my first Venture Hero Fund 1, which is $1 million to invest in B2B software as a service companies. We've managed to raise $550,000 in 3 weeks. If you guys are interested to invest as a limited partner in one of the last few slots in Venture Hero Fund 1 to invest in B2B SaaS businesses as a way to enhance your own portfolios, please drop me a message and I'll send you the details. Yeah. So that's Venture Hero. Now let's do a case study. Right. So we talk about all these 4 levers of corporate innovation. Does it work? I'll tell you my own journey with corporate innovation in Valaris, and you can be the judge, right? So for those of you who have not attended my previous presentation at the TGS Asia Pacific Conference in Singapore in June, that was when I did the worldwide launch, or not the worldwide launch, the Asia Pacific launch of WebFinder. And WebFinder started with I'll just take 2 or 3 minutes, right? How have we used, how did we conceive WebFinder to work on our business in the blue ocean to stay relevant to our customers? For 15 years, I worked with unhappy customers and unhappy auditors who said, your valuation services are very expensive and I don't want to pay the auditors an extra fee because I've already paid them an audit fee. I don't understand why I have to pay them an additional valuation fee and an additional valuation review fee, right? And the simple answer is audit now involves 3 fees, because we've audit fee, valuation fee, and valuation review fee, because we've moved to a fair value reporting mode. So I said, okay, that's interesting. Could I buy, let's research whether this is a urgent and important problem, right? So before embarking on building anything, always ask yourself, is this an urgent, important problem? Nobody wants to build a solution and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars building a solution only to have one user at the end of the day. Right? So the first thing is figure out, is this the only client, or do you keep hearing clients have it? Right? So in terms of show of hand, who doesn't have to do fair value reporting? Nobody, right? The whole world has to do fair value reporting. So this appears to be an urgent and important problem, because every year, accounting regulators say that accounting estimates, including fair value estimates, are the #1 audit quality concern, right? So this is an urgent, important problem, and it's a big enough problem. Then I said, okay, maybe I could be a licensee, right? I could sell time, or I could try to sell the same solution without time. using technology. So I went to say, can I buy an established solution? Well, there was no there are established valuation tools. None of them are actually fit for purpose in financial reporting. Auditors have very specific requirements that current valuation tools don't produce. For example, auditors want to be able to verify the source document for every single input. Okay, and valuation tools don't do that. So I said, okay, I've got to build my own. But when I build my own, does that mean that I have to write every single line of code? And the answer is no, right? Because it would take 100 years to write every single line of code. If I try to do an online valuation tool, I need to collect payments. I don't want to write the code for that because there's somebody who has already written the code and there's somebody is Stripe, right? Online payment. So what we do is when we created WAG Finder, we approached Stripe, we started an account and did an API. We did an API plugin. Okay? So sometimes some of these solutions is one-off, some of it is a percentage, right? Like just like Visa, credit card, it is a percentage. Next, then we invested in WAG Finder. We said that WAG Finder may not create any revenue for us when it's under development. It's just a lot of cost, right? Our core business, which creates cash flow, Valaris, will have to continue, but we are investing for the future by trying to digitize some of these work streams and trying to codify my knowledge so that I can help more auditors, right? If there's just one of me, I can help. I can only get on a call with one auditor at a time, but with WAG Finder, many auditors can use the same workflow. So I'm investing WAG Finder as a separate unit, as a separate department, different from Valaris, but still within the same company, right? So I'm investing for the future. And thirdly, I've left university for a long time. Even though I'm an engineer, I've given back a lot of code writing. Back in those days, just to show my age, we learned C++ programming. That's not what is used today. Today, everybody either uses Python or PHP coding, right? So then the fastest way for me to get up to speed is to partner. But if you are small and you don't have a lot of capital, how do you partner? I went to look at for interns at the Polytechnic and I said, I want to code this. I want this sort of user interface, and then the interns help me code it, right? So you can see here, right? I use all different types, all 4 types of corporate innovation to come up with one product called Valaris. Do you have any questions? If you have, I'm happy to take them in 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm coming to my last slide, right? So this is an example of corporate innovation. There are 4 pillars: R&D, M&A, strategic partnerships, as well as corporate venture capital. If you're interested to learn more, reach out to me. We've written guides on all this, 3 of the 4. We've written guides on how to grow strategy. How do you know you need to grow today, right? So do you have market saturation? Do you have competition? Or are you fearing or thinking about market irrelevance and how to stay relevant? If your client is doing that, and your client says, can we have a conversation with members of the TGS network? The service line we have on our website is called Growth Strategy. We take them through the exact same exercise that we've taken you through, right? And if the answer is mergers and acquisitions of venture capital, Valaris is able to help you. If you want to build your own or you want to do a strategic partnership, we can refer you to our partners. If it's mergers and acquisitions, we can help you. If you're an auditor looking at just trying to figure out how WAG Finder test drives to help you in fair value reporting so that you don't have to sign off on qualified opinions, or you want to think about the process that you've heard today and how you can develop your own products in your company, sign up for a free 14-day trial on wagfinder.com. And with that, I'm happy to take questions from the floor.
Okay, thank you so much for a comprehensive explanation of how corporate innovation should be taken off. And there is one question from Pak Jenny. So, Mr. Yong, considering the company's goals and objectives, among the 4 factors that you have explained before, which do you think provides the greatest benefit to the company?
Okay. So thanks for sharing that question. It's like asking which of the tools in your toolbox is the most important. Is the spanner the most important, or the screwdriver the most important, right? Or the level or the plumb gauge the most important? It depends. So what does it depend on, right? What you want, and I will save you 2 years of personal grief, because that's the mistake I made when I developed Web Finder. What did I do as an engineer developing Web Finder? I said, oh, if I create one more feature, they will come, right? So I spent a lot of time creating the feature. That's not the correct approach. The correct approach should have been to get on a call, 5 calls with 5 different customers, asking them what they want every day. What do you want to see in Web Finder? Right? So we've developed a demo, but we're going to start getting on schedules and scheduling calls with people, 5 calls a day, asking, is this something you want? What is missing? So for example, the feedback I've gotten that I never heard of in terms of Web Finder was the Taiwanese TGS member firm told me that we'll consider using it if you can translate into Mandarin. I never considered that, right? That English was a problem. But then we have a second challenge. The TGS China firm says, we will only consider using it if you translate it into Mandarin, but we don't want you to translate it into the Mandarin that the Taiwanese uses. Second problem. So in Taiwan, they use traditional Mandarin, and in China, they use simplified Mandarin, right? So if they see in the wrong translation, they don't want to use it because of nationalistic sentiments. I never thought of that if I didn't ask the customer. Isn't that interesting? So sometimes the customer doesn't buy, could be 1,001 reasons, and you don't know until you ask the customer. So which is the most important? Ask the customer, then use the tools you need in your toolbox to help the customer solve the problem so that he will pay you. That would be my answer. Yeah. So I hope that helps.
Okay, I think it's clear enough, yeah, Pak Jenny. And for the next question, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the for corporate innovation that you have mentioned before? There are R&D, M&A, corporate phasing, and strategic partnership.
Sure. So let's go through this. Obviously, when you do research and development, you're trying to go from point A to point B, where point A is known and point B is unknown, right? And it's not in a straight line. When imagine you're going into a jungle, right? From a city into a jungle, known to unknown, it's not a straight line. That means that the risk is you could be spending money on something that doesn't pan out, and you don't know how long it takes. Just like, for example, if you say, I want you to invent penicillin that would finally go into a pill called Panadol to cure fever. Do you know how long it will take to discover penicillin? You don't. Marie Curie discovered it by accident by looking at some mold that was growing in a petri dish left on a laboratory window. A lot of innovation is discovered through accident. How do you make happy accidents happen more often? Talk to the customer, right? So the strength, but if you can develop something on your own, like Web Finder, then what is the strength of developing something on your own? You get to license it, right? You get to increase a very important metric in professional services firm called revenue per head count, because there is no head count now. So that's the strength of R&D. What's the strength of buying? The strength of buying is if you want to go to market and you're not the first mover and you want to go to market immediately. Think about it as buying is not always the best, right? Think about it as you need to, if you try and build everything yourself and you take too much time, you're going to lose time, and with time, you're going to lose market share, right? So a lot of businesses, especially platform businesses like Grab and Uber, you can only have, as a Chinese proverb says, one tiger on one mountain, right? Even Southeast Asia was not big enough to sustain both Grab and Uber, and it comes with market share. So speed to market is important. Speed to execution is important. If you're in that space, then trying to buy a solution or trying to partner with somebody such that as long as it makes economic sense, right? For every dollar I own, what are you charging, right? Stripe may say I charge 4% or 3%, right? So as long as it makes sense, by buying, the advantage is you can go to market tomorrow instead of in 3 years' time. So that's the strength. But you have to pay a cost for doing business to put together a solution. And it's a cost all of us pay, right? Because there's no such thing as no recurring costs. Even in your own business, you've got to pay rental as recurring costs and salaries as recurring costs. So that's the advantage of buying speed to market, speed to execution. Invest in the future, I would say a bit more defensive. Two things you look at, there are two objectives for investing. One is to prevent disruption tomorrow. Something may not disrupt you today, but may disrupt you tomorrow. So for example, you may want to invest in an AI-enabled accounting firm that doesn't have a lot of revenue today, but could help you with cost efficiencies. And if it becomes big, because Venture Hero is starting a fund, it becomes big, it can not only do, so it's got two advantages. One, it helps defend your market relevance for tomorrow. And if we actually sell the firm or we raise more capital, you make a lot more money. Okay, and I can tell you as a mergers and acquisitions expert that fortunes, hey, that's a separate talk. I'll explain to you why buying, building, and selling assets will get you richer faster than buying and selling time. And lastly, partnering for shared innovation would mean that you want to create the future together, because if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, sustainable business, think global sustainability, thrive global sustainability, we go far together, right? The strongest team always wins, not the strongest solopreneur. So those are the strengths and weaknesses for each of these four levers for corporate innovation.
Okay, thank you for answering the question, Mr. Seong Yung. I hope it should be enough for the Q&A session, because we are currently running out of time. So thank you for explaining in a comprehensive way in terms of M&A and how to address this corporate innovation in 4 steps. Okay. We would like to move on to Mr. Prakar Talani's station. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Prakar. So, first, we are going to, what? Okay, we're going to do a warming up session first before jumping into the main topic of technology. So Mr. Prakar is already here. And thank you so much, Mr. Seong Yung, for opening up the new topic from the latest question that you are mentioned that AI generated is really important for making a business more sustainable. So maybe Mr. Prakar can give us a brief explanation of how will AI shape the future.
So first of all, I believe now AI is no more future. It is present. It is available on every phone and every application we use these days. So technology advancement with the help of AI has become extremely fast, I would say. Now, we take up any of the roles in our firm can be assisted, efficiency can be increased using AI technology. Just for an example, which I was giving earlier, we used to write codes to get the, for the data analysis. Like in the starting of the beginning of the career, I was using Excel for the data analysis. Then I started using Python for that. Now I just have to write few prompts to get the, insights of the data. Now, if we pick up any of our, I would say any of the segment of our consulting, be it accounting or recording of transaction, or be it internal audits or statutory audits, where we spend number of hours into identifying and evaluating and then reporting. AI can definitely, if not, let's say, 100% accurate, but can work as an agent or assistant to us to do the field work immediately in few seconds, and then we can start the review work. And not just when we need it, but they are working in background. So many companies in India are already using tools which are connected with their ERP, and they start extracting all the kind of exceptions which they can find and start reporting them as an exception, rather than auditor coming in and identifying those things. That's being taken care by AI independently. So that's how it is moving forward using AI now. Like, it definitely has impact on our practice or the consulting firm which we are running. And as like in the like Seong rightly mentioned, if we do not innovate now, it's like I believe we are already late by 1 year if we have not started doing it in beginning of 2024. We will become irrelevant, because all the services which we are providing right now would be available at high quality at lower cost by many other of our competitors. So that's what I see using through AI.
Okay, so basically your company has implemented AI to your business processes, which is save more time and money, I guess, because it costs less than to do it manually, right?
Yes. So like, both of our sessions today are so I would say synced in nature. He has really set the base for me to take it forward. So yes, bringing in innovation will reduce the cost, and will give us access to more customers in with the same staff. So that's how will be able to increase our revenue as well. So that's how it works.
Okay,
Yeah. So hmm.
okay,
So
so
can I share my screen? Yeah. No.
yeah, you can actually. So Prakar will come up with these three main points of explanation about technology, from enhancing client relationships through technology, digital transformation, and also the future of technology in APAC firms. Okay, I will be stop sharing my screen here. So Prakar can share your screen. Okay, I can see your screen.
All right. So at Capital, we are building products. So our background is the CA firm or the consulting only. It's KG Somani and Company TGS India. We have been in India for more than 60 years, and from last 2 years, we are investing more into like innovation and identifying how we can solve problems for our customers, which can help us to come out with a product to stay relevant in the market, as well as to generate more revenue in the future. And these products are related to governance, risk, and compliances. And we have a roadmap to include ESG as well in that. So these like the governance, risk, and compliances is the practice which is global in nature, not confined to one geography, just like statutory audits or tax. But is like, if we are able to build products which is able to solve problems for our Indian customers, should be available for the other regions as well. Now we are at the beginning stage, I would say. We are about to complete our phase 1 in this year, where we would be having end-to-end products connected internally. So we have a number of products One is related to GRC, one is related to data room for sharing file between organizations, auditee and auditors, and another is the data analysis tool using AI, where we helping organizations and as well as auditors to automate the data analysis job. So in a way, we are replacing data analysis using these tools. So I'll start with the problem statement, like through which we started, and we will jump on the product demos as well, like how we are working around it. And during these demos, we will have a discussion around like what is the future of technology in APAC firm, and how like these products are transforming in financial management and accounting, and also how we can bring in more transparency into our assignment, so that clients as well as auditors, their management are equally have same view of what is going on in any assignment. So starting with the challenges we face in governance, risk and compliances, or any other audit assignment, I would say that is we are unable to identify the real-time tracking of what is happening, what are the issues we are identifying at the audit assignments. So generally, like what used to happen earlier, we would go on an audit, we'll start tracking or testing controls, and if we identify an issue, we'll write it down. At the end of the audit, we'll have a meeting with the management, and then the discussion around those issues will happen only in the next audit assignment. So, considering all these situation, and also there are many tools available in the market around the same, as you would be knowing about Audit Board, which is available primarily in Western region. They are also doing similar stuff where they are automating or digitizing the workflows related to GRC. So, considering this situation, we started building one of the tool for internal financial control, which is similar to SOX in US, where we are helping organization into managing their business units, their processes, sub processes, risk register as well as control matrix. So in a way, with that tool, everyone in the organization, auditor, auditee, have the latest version of their policies and procedure, their risk register. So if they want to have an assignment related to risk self-assessment or control self-assessment, that can be taken up. And if there's any issue found around it, we have a tool for issue tracking. We call it ATR, Action Taken Report. Those issues can be parked there with the remediation action plan for the management. And now we do not have to wait up till next audit cycle, but during this period, at the time of remediation action plan, if we have discussed and decided this would be the due date to complete the action, they will be notified, escalation will be made, and next time when auditor comes in, they do not need to ask for the status, they'll get it there. So I'll quickly jump onto the tool for our GRC, and then I like we have a complete suite of products, like how other products related to data analysis and file sharing are connected to it. We'll jump onto that. So I'll stop sharing my screen and will reshare. If meanwhile have any question or something like that, please feel free to ask.
I think it's interesting, Prakar, that you evaluate previously the risk is the risk of audit has been taken into discussion or taken consider for the next assessment engagements, and now with these tools you can identify on a real time, and we would like to see a graphics maybe of
Yeah, just
yeah,
exactly.
or demo if you may.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sharing the screen only. Give me a moment. All right. So, is it visible? All right. So this is the product for GRC. We call it IFC Hub in India. So I'll give you a quick demo. Like we can set up our organizations. So like a company may have different business units. We call them BUs. So they can specify their. They can have different locations of those BUs. That can be identified here. Then there are departments, team roles. These are the standard while setting up the onboarding any client. This is being done. Then we have the IFC master, where we identify all the processes for each of the entities in the company, what all processes are there, like procurement to payment, hire to retire. They can add many as they want for each of the entities. Then we have sub processes for each processes. They can mention all the sub processes into, let's say, hire to retirement, there's recruitment. Then for each of these sub processes, we have risk register. So let's say if you go to here, so these are the risk register with name of the process, sub process, what is the risk, what is the description of the risk. Then we also segment those risks, whether that is L1, L2, or L3, and whether if there's any fraud risk into that or not. And if an organization even wants to change these drop down or want to add more categories for the risk segmentation, that can be done. Now, once the risk register is finalized, we have the controls. So that helps to create the proper risk control matrix where we have the process, sub-process, risk, and then we have created a control to mitigate those risks. Now, this RCM was earlier like we used to prepare it in Excel. Now that is being online, just digitized. Now, with the help of intelligence, which we will be bringing into that, let's say if there's an industry related to insurance or banking or oil, if they would we whenever they will mention their entities detail, the tool will itself identify or analyze what are the risks in this industry at that location, considering geopolitical situation and scenarios, and compare it with their existing risk register, and if there's any suggestion or uh, feedback, or if any risk should be elaborated or more categorized properly, can be added there. Similarly, with respect to controls, if let's say if there's a risk related to fake purchase register or budget amendments, and we have not created sufficient controls, AI will help us with that. So we are still completing the phase one for it. If we have to, let's say, create any other control, there's a form related to that, and Excel, we can simply import the Excel. So we have just automated or digitized the existing workflows, which we were doing through manual processes. Each control would have, cross comply functionality as well. So there are many controls which are applicable, let's say, for COSO framework as well as SOC sub as well as let's say some standards related to ISO. Now there are three audits to be conducted in an organization, and there would be same control which will be tested by three different auditor or at three different time. So rather than spending more time into doing that, we tag those control basis the available, like ICOFOR is in India we have ICOFOR, whether that is applicable or not, and we can add as many categories like COSO, SOX, IFC, and if at any audit we identify there any control has a design gap or effectiveness gap, that will be highlighted in all the reports, so we do not need to perform the same action twice for the same period of time. So that's the idea. Once these controls are prepared, then we can create the audit cycle. So, like how it works in manual scenarios, we simply do the audit planning and identify what control should be tested in this audit cycle, right? We may skip few of the low risk items which where there's no change in controls, right? So we have created audit cycle, and if like majority of you are not from conducting internal audit, just consider statutory audit it as where in a statutory audit even the PCOAB requires auditor to have reliance over control over of the system, right? So we used to test there are many audit procedures which we perform for different let's say there's an audit cycle for sales where have process of sales and sales return, and for each of it we identify certain risk or areas for which we seek documents from the management, perform some tests and identify if there's any issue or exception in there or not. So consider that situation only. We have just created a new audit cycle here. Like what the name of the audit cycle for which company which we want to do for what process. Let's say we want to do it for procurement and for which location we are doing and what will be the start date and end date. So that helps into the audit planning. And once that is done, all the tests which are to be performed for that audit cycle will be listed here. So at the time of creating controls. We just at the time of creating controls, we have already mentioned what are the actionables or the test information to be done. Now basis that we have now actionables for our team what is to be performed for that control, that company, and who is the user responsible, who is the reviewer for that, and what is the start date and what is the supposedly end date for that. Now, basis that they can perform the actions and like just give me a moment. Like my family is calling back to back. Give me a moment, please. Sorry. Sorry. So we have other workflows as well. Let's say in an audit team there are 4 team members, and we have assigned few tasks to Prakhar. Let's say me, and I am going on leave. Let's say, and there are 10 tasks which are to be performed now. So we can change the user responsible for it. We can even modify the end date for that. If there are any changes as compared to the audit planning, that can be taken care by the system, uh, and, and the logs get prepared. So when the tests are performed, if there's any design gap, if there's an operating effectiveness gap, and these test remarks can be modified for each of the cases. So, for example, if you want to ask whether there's any change in the business context in the business, or if there's any change in the user responsible for taking the control, we can add as many as columns here. Uh, so once these tests are performed, we have, give me a moment. Yes. Yes. So once these tests are performed, we get the status whether at any point of time, which brings in transparency with the auditor as well as the auditee, what all was to be performed, what all has been performed, if there is any priority items which is pending, and what is the uh, overdue age for that. So like was I able to explain you related to this IFC, or if anyone has any question around it, or if they want to understand in their context related to what they practice at their client, please feel free to ask before we move into next segment.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Prahar. There is actually a question from Aju Nyachan. I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. The question is the system shared with your clients?
Yes, so this is a system which is available to auditor as well as an auditee. Both, yeah.
So the client can monitoring the audit process as well, yeah, Mr. Prakar.
Yes. So it depends. Let's say the client has purchased the software. So in many of the places where there are large corporates who are very, uh, you know, uh, very keen to have control over the governance, they buy these system from us, these tools from us, and then they onboard their auditor on these platforms. And in few cases where the audit firms are so big that they want to have, they want to perform their activities properly, have the transparency, they buy our system as well, and then they onboard their clients on it. So in a way, if a client is onboarding auditor, the auditor will have few visibility across the system, like whatever roles and permission provided by the client to the auditor, and vice versa. So let's say if I do not want to showcase my clients the issues which are not yet approved by the partner in charge, so the clients won't be able to see those issues. So basis the rules and permission, we can have different user can have different rights and views. So we have created a few rules already, but a company or the auditor can create as many rules they want to for the different rules permission.
Yeah, Prakhar,
Okay.
so I'm just stepping in just
Mhm.
to add just to add a question. So is there a limit to how many clients you can include in this system? If you're an auditor and you buy that system, is there a limit?
No, no, there is no limited limit with respect to clients or users with respect to that.
Ah, thanks.
Yeah. Yes. So once, do we have any question related to any process or process risk control or anything like that? If no, we can move to another. All right. So,
I have a question, Prakar.
yeah,
Uh,
yes, Nikhil.
so this is very important in the risk assessment case, right? And in the risk assessment, we have to conclude the risk, the RMM, risk of material misstatements, right? It's based on the combined risk of the control risk and the inherent risk, the business risk, right? And how this system help us to to calculate the risk on this inherent risk and the control risk. Because you mentioned there is a risk on each process, sub process, right, and the control, and and you show us uh, the menu and the okay, this is and how at the end this help us to calculate in terms of
Yeah.
0.7 or 0.9 or 0.25, that kind of level of risk.
All right. So, first of all, to identify whether there's a control risk or inherent risk, that can be set manually, or at the time of testing control, we can identify there's a control risk here, right? There's no sufficient control, or there are risks for which there cannot be, or there are certain assertions related to a few processes which causes the inherent risk. So we can add those categories here uh, across the processes as well as controls. So all these forms which I am showcasing you are completely customizable related to the audit assignment as well as the region. Like for example, there could be a few more columns which should be there according to your needs. So that can be added here with the multiple drop downs. Now the point comes with respect to whether the calculator part of zero point 0.7 or zero point 0.5, or giving the weightage, let's say. So for that we can have the AI in this place, which will do that, and the user can then further review it. Let's AI would basis its understanding would mention those values, and the manager can then review it and approve it. So we are building the AI model in this case, like, which will have uh, percentage of how sure is AI related to that. So if that is, let's say, 100%, user can skip to review those cases. If that is, let's say, less than 100 or less than 90%, user will may review those cases. So this is how we are planning to incorporate where the intelligence is required. All right. So, with respect to any test we perform, whether that's statutory audit or internal audit, ultimately we are uh, trying to identify if there's any material misstatement, right? And has impact on the financial statement, right? So, for that, we have created this ATR master, or we can call it just issue tracking system. So, if any control gets failed while testing, we identify these are, not sufficient, or even after taking additional samples, we do find that there are issues into it. So we can create observations for those issues. So again, this is linked to the financial year quarter. These are standard metadata. What is the observation? What is the description? What is the issue type? Whether that is operational, design and operational. We can have multiple columns into that. What is the potential impact on it? Like, does it have a financial impact or not? Does it just have an operational impact? Does it just have, let's say, a reputational impact, customer satisfaction related impact? We can mention that. Now, for that, Mikhail, like, let's say we have tagged it as it has a financial impact, and we can also mention the amount of material misstatement in this case, like whatever tests we have performed, what is the uh, if that is material, we can mention that amount. And even AI can help with respect to description and tagging the potential impact. There are many observations for which, due to lack of awareness, like, let's say, when I used to do the audit back in 2015 or 16, with a little experience, I would just perform what I've already experienced or seen anywhere. But with the help of AI here, it can even help me to know if there are multiple tests which have been failed, if there's any impact on the operational resilience or business resilience. So, taking the wholesome overview and giving the impact of the failed test cases. Then, so these issues can be created linked with the controls and independently, both ways. And once this is done, once we have added any issue, then the next action for the management is to add actionables to it. That is called remediation action plan. So there can be multiple actionables for each of the observation or issues we have identified basis whether that's just an operational issue, just an error, or there was a design gap. So there can be different people responsible to rectify that in future. Now, for each issue, there will be a person responsible, person reviewer. There would be an expected due date and priority and the current status. Now, just like in IFC Master, we have seen while testing, the audit team gets the task, like what they have to perform, what tests they have to perform. Similarly, in actionables, they'll get the management team will get task to as in a remediation action plan, like what is the actionable against which observation for which company. So in a way, with the help of this system, every user is like knows what is to be performed, and who has to perform it, and by when it is expected from them to perform the same. And with the other tools into the system, like notification and escalation metrics, if let's say Harish has not performed any action which was supposed to be performed by 30th of September 2024, the escalation matrix will follow. Like let's say for 10 days it will go to the his manager, and then for next 30 days, after 30 days it may go to report to the partner or director level person. And like we can set different kind of scenarios for these escalation matrix. Now, there's one more thing, like after every quarter ends or after every audit cycle, if anything, if any observation has been observed or actionables have not been taken care, then we can seek management comments directly from it. Let's say I was responsible to perform, there was an observation related to my department that a vendor was onboarded without a proper background check, let's say. So the management can, the audit management committee can seek comments from me related to that. I'll showcase you that as well. Yes. So, for example, this is the observation against which I can add my management comments, and that will come here basically. So, let's say if any observation was supposed to be closed by 30th of September 2024 and it has not been yet closed. So, quarter on quarter, management comments will accumulate here, with which will give us the sufficient reason to identify if that is just the whims and fancy of the management to not take care of any observation, or there's any operational difficulty right now or not. So there are multiple other audit assignments which can be taken care. Like we have already got the risk register and control. So there can be a risk self-assessment or control self-assessment can be done by the management team and identify if there's uh, anything needs to be updated. So it is a collaborative tool. We are still yet to complete the phase one of it for IFC master, where we would be having multiple type of assignments which can be taken care by the system. Plus, the system will be intelligent enough to help you in identifying if any risk is not categorized properly, or risk are not identified for the particular industry or for any region. So the system will be intelligent enough to help you with that. Considering the time, I quickly jump to the next tool, which is AI enabled data analysis tool. Now, that is available as separate tool as well as will be available within this tool. So ultimately, what is happening? Like at the time of testing any control, we are seeking files from the our auditee, and then we perform few tests on those files, and then identify if there's any gap or not. So we are bringing in two products now. One is the data room, which will help you to share files with your just give me a moment. Which will help you to share your files with your like the auditee can share files with the auditor. And give me a moment, I'll just press on my OTP. So this is the data room. The primary usage is definitely the M&A, for which we initially built it. To at the time of deals and IPOs, data room is being used. So we built it for that purpose, now being used for the audit assignment purposes as well. And now we are integrating it with our internal tool as well. So for example, for control testing, I need some files from my team, from the audit team. I can simply create an task on them, which is like checklist. So with that will drop here. Like I need a file for revenue for September. So I can simply create it from there only. And from the next audit cycle, I need not to rewrite this question as well. It will be automatically available. I just need to click and confirm. Now the management has the option to assign it to different of their users. They can assign it, and they can give us the response. And even if they have to attach any file, so there are multiple columns available. Like if you want to seek any file, just give me a minute. Okay, so we can add multiple columns and they can attach the files into the system. So skipping the emails for tracking what is required, what is not required, the data room can be used with the client. Like we need all these documents. Client will have real-time availability of the status, what has been provided, what has not been provided. If you have any query over any analysis or file, you can simply ask question here, and again we can have communication here, like we can have threaded communication here over any particular question, which will be available to all the team members basis their permission access. So even if I leave the organization tomorrow, the audit team can still evaluate what all questions were raised during an assignment and how these were closed. So once the file is shared, let's say we download it in Excel file or use Idea software to analyze a few of the use cases. So we have this Irame tool where if I walk you through how it works, so you just need to connect your data source. It can be your, even ERP's data source as well, like the real-time data source as well, and otherwise the Excel files. So for example, if I have to upload any Excel file, I can directly do it from here. Or if I have to connect any data source, um, so just like this, I can select and start querying. So basis that data, it will automatically identify a few of the segments related to risk mitigation, related to internal audit, outlier detection, trend analysis, pattern recognition, data consistency. So these are the smart prompts provided by the system, that what you can do with this data available, right? Considering the columns and the data type. And if you have particular question, you can ask it directly here. If you want to select any of it, you can do that. So I've just done an activity around it. So I've uploaded the data and simply asked, like, give me the state-wise list of companies incorporated during the period. So it has analyzed and has posted some observations, just a simple static data, um, and like how it works. So it breaks this question, like interprets it, identify what data is available with me. So there are two data frames which I have provided to it, and what will be the data processing steps. So an intern or a data analyst in team would certainly do the same activity step by step. They'll interpret the question, they will identify what data set is available to me, what columns are available to me, and what steps should I perform to process the request. And then it automatically writes the code. So rather than doing that manually, it does that job, uh, certainly using AI, and gives the result. So for example, if I need a graphical view of it, it has provided me that. If I need a tabular view of it, it has provided me that. So both kind of information is available. And let's say this is something uh, where we are asking it to identify exceptions, for example, or let's say if I integrate it with this tool where I am, testing my controls, the files are available here. I can simply ask it to analyze, and give me the, it will give me the processed file here. Or in the case of, in the context of, let's say, statutory audit, we have got the population, we have to identify samples to be tested, right? So basis the statistical methods, it can identify what sample should be tested. So rather than taking a long time in processing the data, identifying the sample, and then communicating to the client, as and when the clients update the information here in the, they share the file, the tool will work and send immediately to the client, like, I need these 7 samples or 10 samples. So this will help us to say cut the time, and with the logical method only. And so this is the ecosystem right now. We have these audit tools, we have this data analyst tool, and this is the file sharing or data room. which are integrated in a manner where you want to go end to end with the audit journey, that can be taken care by it. Now, these tools do have their independent use cases as well. Like data room, apart from audit, can be used for merger acquisition and deal management, where the files are to be shared between two teams. So the benefit of using a data room is you own a control of your data. This can be connected with your cloud storage as well. So it is just managing the access and permission and logs. We have logs like who has done what at what time. So give a detailed view if, let's say, if any person who doesn't should not have access to a sensitive information, but by mistake we have provided him that sensitive information, he has already accessed as well, which he was not supposed to. We can get the logs as well, like who has done what, who has updated the file, what is the file version which we are using. So these are the other use cases for data room. And similarly for Irame, once we ask questions to it and we want to analyze it on, let's say, on long-term basis, we want to analyze it on day basis, we can simply add it to dashboard. So I can create a new dashboard for, let's say, companies, and add it there. So next time I do not need to ask the same question on the same data set, or even the updated data set. I'll just need to quickly go to this, and these charts will be automatically uh, regenerated basis the new data. So this is about the like the entire capital suite which we offer. So if anyone has any question, please feel free to ask.
Okay, so this entire capital suite like has already helped you to automate many business processes, right? And since the data is quite accessible to everyone that is um, on the system, there is a question from it one. How can you ensure the data security if it's
Yeah.
accessible to
Yes.
anyone else?
So, hmm, to ensure data security, we offer clients. So first of all, we have gone through all the necessary audits and penetration testing, which are required to ensure the application level controls. That has all been done. But still, to maintain, the ownership of data and it doesn't reach to any other person, you do not need to, as in like, store your data on our cloud servers. You can connect your cloud storage as well. So, for example, while creating a data room, you can select which cloud provider you want to access, or which server location at which you need this information to be stored, and that can be owned by you and can be selected. So that's how the data security at application at the cloud level or infra level is being taken care. And uh, apart from that, we have application level, within the application permission and role access. So if anyone doesn't have access to any information, they won't be able to access that information. So, Ridwan, please, like, if I'm able to answer your question. If not, then please ask again.
Okay, that is very much the answer for Ridwan's question. If it's not um answering your question, you maybe want to follow up your question. Yeah, that one. And there is another question from Mr. Seong Yu.
So, yeah,
Can I ask which development operation teams you use to build your software?
okay. So, we have our in-house team in terms of team member and resources, like which helps us to build all these products. And if you're asking about tech stack, Seong, Like what technology are we using?
So the question is two ways, right? So first, congratulations. There's a lot of deep thought into thinking about this, right? I'm happy to have a separate conversation with you on many levels, right? One is to understand how your solution, if you are willing to consider white labeling of the data room, since I do M&A, I don't have
Sure.
I haven't selected a data room service provider. I can work with you. Number one. Number two is uh, DevOps. You're using a purely in-house team, not a third-party
Yeah.
contractor.
Yeah.
Do
So
you
we
yeah,
have in-house team. Yes, please ask.
do you provide that as a service to other maybe TGS members in case we want to develop stuff?
So if it is related to our products, like existing products or roadmap, if you need any customization or similar thing like that, we generally offer that to any of our client. But if you have any specific use case for which you want, let's say develop a tool, we can have a separate conversation for that. And basis the requirement, we can decide if we can do that.
Okay, so
So
is
we have done that in past. We have done that in past.
yeah,
Yes.
so the three questions. First is whether you white label, you say you're willing to consider. The second question is whether you sell a service. Remember, I said blue ocean, right? So this is customer demand. Whether you sell a service, for example, if I want to continue development on Web Finder, do you provide programmers for a fee?
Okay.
So that's
So
the second.
for second, we can have a separate conversation with the founding team as well. So they will be able to answer it well. With respect to the first question, white labeling, so we can offer you that for the data
Okay.
room services.
Right.
Yeah.
And the third question is, once I raise the fund for Venture Hero, I'll need to start investing in B2B SaaS companies. This looks like a B2B SaaS company, right? So if you're
Mhm.
interested in venture capital funding, as well as courses on how to navigate from $1 to $10 million, we can have a third separate conversation on this.
So, sir, would be happy to align on that.
Oh, you see what happens when you turn up at TGS webinars?
Yeah, sorry.
No, I say you see what happens when you turn up at TGS webinars.
Yeah, yeah.
Strategic partnerships.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Thanks,
Yes.
Praha. I'll reach out to you
Yeah,
offline.
thanks. Sir. And then we have, does AI system only analyze data, or can we do more like making audit reports? So that is in our roadmap to have the final presentation as well, the audit report as well, through the system only. So once the testing part is done and we have the observational issues finalized, the AI can help you to build the initial report, and you can be using the prompt asked for the changes as well. So we have got the capability to create, let's say charts or everything. So it just, adding the module of the reports which is in the pipeline right now. So any other question?
So the system has the just analyze data or can be making report or two more, Mr. Prakar?
Can you please ask again?
The system can has just only analyze data, right?
Mm-hmm. So it analyzes the data as well as it can create reports as well. It is just we have not, completed that module. So in a while, we will have the system of creating or making audit reports through the system only, and sharing it with clients. So we have already built few reports as well. If I showcase it to you, we have integrated few tools here, and for one of the members. So this was their internal reporting format, which we, you know, created here. So what is their group level internal observation status looks like, entity wise, and the aging wise, then the process wise. risk-wise, and how many of the are repeated observation, what is the total observation, root cause analysis, potential impact analysis. So this is there in the like we are even elevating it more to be it more dynamic in nature, where you can ask it the question and it can prepare those reports directly.
Okay, all right. Just summarize the analyze on
Yeah,
the summarize report.
and
Like,
yes, you can even interact with these boards. If you have to, let's say, go directly to any observation, you can even click on it from the report and go directly to that case. So we can also see what data set is being used to create this report. All right.
Okay, all right. It's been an impressive presentation of your company's technology ecosystem, yeah, Mr. Prakar. It's really impressive indeed. Even Mr. Seong Yung is willing to make a collaboration with you
That's a
because of
reward for
how
me.
impressive,
Yeah.
because of how impressive your work here. Okay, so we are a bit late. Actually, it's already 10 past 11. So if you guys have any more question to Mr. Seong Yung and Mr. Prakarkani, you may ask right now because I will count to five. If there are no other questions till I'm done counting, I will wrap up our discussion today. Okay, I'll start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So if there are no any question, I guess our discussion has come to an end. Thank you very much for joining us, both Mr. Seong Yung and Mr. Prakar, and for the comprehensive presentation of your company and your services. It's it's very amazing. Okay. So before I end the Zoom meeting, I would like to take a photo shoot session first.
Yeah.
So everyone, please turn your camera on because we are going to have a photo shoot session.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Pak Jenny, maybe? Can you please turn your camera on? Are you there?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Maybe he's in the middle of something right now. So I'm going to take the screenshot. Hello, Amna, and who's the other one? You. There are two person in one panel. Okay. On the count of three, everyone, please give me your best smile and best pose. 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time, everyone. Please give me your best pose, yeah. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you so much for joining us today with Mr. Seong Yung and Mr. Prakar as the speaker for today's session. I hope we can see you guys on another forum discussion
Yeah.
on the future.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Samyong. Thank you,
you.
Prakar. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Good
Thank
to see
you,
you. I'm
Mithil.
seeing
Thank you,
Jakarta in
Thank you,
May.
everyone.
I help you to pre-sell your conference, Mikal.
Okay.
All right. See
Okay.
you. Bye.
See you. Keep in touch.